WSTKS-FM Worldwide. Digital collaborative learning for the 21st century. Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Collaborative Cafe, a podcast about the integration of generative artificial intelligence into undergraduate education. My name is Stokes Schwartz, and I'm a professor in the Center for Integrative Studies in the Arts and Humanities here at Michigan State University. The ideas shared today reflect my ongoing research and developing thoughts on GenAI's role in college and university classrooms. In production during the late spring and summer of 2024, the series presents a snapshot in time of how I envision GenAI impacting what we do and how we do that with post-secondary learners. The rapid evolution of the technology, however, means that the situation is not static, and it's reasonable to expect that things will look very different a few years from now. But that's putting the cart before the horse. In today's program, we'll look a little more closely into how we can encourage the students we teach to employ GenAI with greater academic integrity, transparency, and ethical use. When it comes to matters of academic integrity and the ethical use of generative artificial intelligence, author K.A. Feeney points out in the book AI in the Classroom, Embrace the Future of Education, that both instructors and students need to share an understanding of what exactly constitutes academic dishonesty within the context of a particular course or assignment. To find that common ground, open dialogue is needed to establish consensus on what is and what is not permissible when it comes to the use of GenAI to complete academic work. The goal of such discussions for parties on both sides of the issue should be to nail down clear expectations for acceptable use of the technology in order to avoid plagiarism, either intentional or unwitting. Frank, yet civil exchange on the matter not only minimizes problems down the road, but that same dialogue also introduces the potential for students to take on a more active role in the co-creation of course policies surrounding GenAI and its later contribution to their learning. Involving college or university students in shaping course policies about generative artificial intelligence has, in Feeney's view, several benefits. To begin with, it empowers students and fosters a sense of ownership over their learning environment. The articulation of clear standards, in addition, helps students better understand GenAI use in general. Finally, student participation in this type of exchange enhances their understanding of GenAI's overall impact and promotes greater ethical awareness. In a nutshell, students become more cognizant of their own academic integrity when they participate actively in discussion about GenAI, the importance of transparency, and responsible practice using the technology to carry out academic work. The activity also sets the stage for continued ethical practice during later professional assignments and projects in the years to come following graduation. To establish an atmosphere of ownership, trust, integrity, and accountability, Jose Anton Bowen and C. Edward Watson suggest in their book, Teaching with AI, A Practical Guide to a New Era of Human Learning, that discussion and development of course values is a highly effective way for instructors to motivate students to use generative artificial intelligence effectively. Bowen and Watson continue, adding that restricting and policing student use of GenAI in the courses we teach is counterproductive. It's more useful in the longer term, they argue, to involve our students in new discussions centered around originality versus plagiarism, knowledge creation and sharing, the attribution of ideas, and intellectual ownership. These kinds of dialogues, rather than heavy-handed edicts forbidding AI use, are more directly transferable to their current academic endeavors as well as the digitized professional world that our students will shortly enter and inhabit for the next several decades. As part of that ongoing conversation, Bowen and Watson advise that it might be worthwhile to reconsider and revise our thinking around the concept of plagiarism. A key point, they note, is to retain the practice of attribution even as collaboration between humans and artificial intelligence becomes the norm, along with our traditional understanding of concepts like originality, creativity, and academic integrity becoming less clear-cut. As a close colleague of mine reminds his students each semester, careful citation is a hallmark of solid scholarship, regardless of the source in question. When including GenAI in the process of synthesizing, developing, and sharing knowledge, then, it's vital that we connect its use to something we do already, namely, to provide clear attribution for any sources consulted during research and project development. We already do that for books, articles, interviews, and the like, and it makes good sense to continue doing so anytime we consult GenAI too. Bowen and Watson also mention that while it remains vital for students to cultivate full responsibility for any and all creative or academic output, a less strict interpretation of what constitutes plagiarism, they suggest, might nevertheless be necessary at this point. Rather than attempt to put the genie back into the bottle and forbid them from using GenAI at all, maybe it makes better sense to keep the channels of communication open and involve our students in ongoing conversation about how best to use and cite the technology. Preetan Shah in AI and the Future of Education, Teaching in the Age of Artificial Intelligence, echoes Bowen and Watson. Besides teaching specific course content and merely familiarizing students with generative artificial intelligence, however, he argues that college and university instructors must themselves model responsible and ethical use of the technology. According to Shah, we must show our students how GenAI can contribute to intellectual development rather than be used as a handy stopgap when completion of an assignment has been delayed until the last possible minute. In other words, we must talk the talk and walk the walk ourselves, practicing what we preach when it comes to our own honesty, integrity, and transparency. We owe it to our students, Shah maintains, to model these values consistently in our own work within and beyond the classroom. When it comes to our role as teachers, he adds, we need to be crystal clear with students about what it is we want them to achieve by making generative artificial intelligence part of their classroom and course activities. Shah maintains that a key way for students and their instructors to engage productively with that issue is to have an in-depth discussion about what it means to be an effective digital citizen, especially where GenAI use is concerned. These repeated exchanges should include, he suggests, examination of what exactly the technology is, how it is evolving, its potential effects on academic and civil discourse, the potential for bias and spread of misinformation, as well as where the cultivation of critical thinking fits into the bigger picture now coming into focus around generative artificial intelligence. Regular listeners will recall that I make a habit of including generative artificial intelligence itself as part of the discussions we have here at the Collaborative Cafe. And this time is no different. During the preparation of today's episode, I consulted our old friend Microsoft Copilot and prompted it by asking the following question. How can college and university instructors foster academic integrity and ethical use of generative artificial intelligence, please? What follows is a greatly modified and pared down version of its response. Quote, instructors should teach students about the importance of academic integrity in all aspects of their work. That includes understanding the difference between using artificial intelligence as a tool to generate ideas on the one hand and plagiarizing the AI's output on the other. Instructors should emphasize the importance of citing all sources to promote transparency, including the GenAI output when it contributes to a student's work. That might include developing a standard citation format for indicating use of the technology, or perhaps requiring students to include a brief annotation that describes how they used GenAI. Instructors should also lead discussions on the ethical use of the technology, including its potential for bias, privacy issues, and misuse, to help students better understand the broader societal implications at play and encourage critical thought about how they use the technology. Finally, students should formally reflect on their use of GenAI, including what they learned from the process, any challenges encountered, and how they might utilize the technology differently in the future. That activity can help students develop a more nuanced understanding of GenAI and its role in their academic and professional lives. End quote. WSTKS-FM Worldwide. Digital collaborative learning for the 21st century. If you find this podcast helpful, be sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. Before we sign off then, let's quickly recap the main points covered during our discussion of academic integrity and ethical use of generative artificial intelligence. Feeney emphasizes the need for clear understanding of and dialogue about academic integrity and ethical use of GenAI, the better to avoid academic dishonesty. Involving students in shaping course policies specific to the technology sets clear expectations, fosters ownership, understanding, and greater ethical awareness. Bowen and Watson, too, advocate for engaging students in discussions about the ethical use of GenAI and its role in their coursework. They argue against policing student use of the technology, instead suggesting that instructors establish and maintain ongoing dialogue about knowledge creation, attribution, and intellectual ownership. Shah emphasizes that instructors should demonstrate how GenAI contributes to intellectual development while at the same time themselves modeling responsible and ethical use of the technology. He also advocates for clear communication across the table, podium, or desk at the head of the classroom about the role of artificial intelligence in academic work. Finally, Microsoft Copilot advises that instructors should emphasize the transparent and ethical use of artificial intelligence tools through consistent and proper citation. In addition, they should encourage students to reflect on their use of GenAI, learning outcomes, and future applications of the technology. And with that, we come to the end of this program on the integration of generative artificial intelligence into post-secondary courses, classrooms, and lecture halls. Tune in next time when we'll look at a few practical considerations and suggestions for moving further toward the inclusion of GenAI in our teaching and learning practices. Until then, thank you for joining me today in the Collaborative Cafe. My name is Stokes Schwartz, and I'll talk to you again soon. Until then, have a healthy, safe, and productive week. Bye for now. You've just heard a podcast from WSTKS-FM Worldwide, digital collaborative learning for the 21st century.